Yes, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a very exciting episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. And let me tell you guys, this is going to be a really big episode, considering that this week we have a lot of massive news going on, especially coming from Disney, which, for some reason, this is the week that they decided to go and unleash everything. Well, not everything, but like a lot of the biggest stuff of this year, they are going to be bringing it out, and we shall be discussing it right over here. In fact, the thing is that this episode is going to be so big, I am not going to do this alone. I actually got a very special guest star with me, someone of which that you could say is a cartoon reviewer before cartoon reviews were actually a thing. Now, this individual has done a lot of anime reviews, but also looked into some animations as well. In fact, even before me, she actually did some retrospectives on stuff like Don Bluth and a little bit of Ralph Bakshi as well. But honestly, this is someone who has been a familiar name for many years now, and it is a great pleasure to have her here in the podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast, MarzGurl! MarzGurl, what is up?
How's it going? Thank you so much for having me here. I'm so happy to be talking to you. This is great.
Yeah, honestly, this is just fantastic to have you here, and hopefully we're all going to have a lot of fun, and it seems like everybody seems to be pretty excited so far to have you over. Everybody's saying hello, so that's
super
pretty
glad
nice.
to see everybody, yeah.
All right, so now that we got our introductions out of the way, MarzGurl, chat, everybody, are you all ready for this episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast?
Yeah!
All right, we got one enthusiastic one. All right, chat wall, do we have some yeses over here? Are you all ready for this episode? Okay, perfect. We got some people who are ready for this. That's great. I'm happy to hear that. Let's go right ahead, and we are gonna get things started. Now, first of all, though, of course, we got some major trailers to go and discuss. Now, MarzGurl, as my guest, you actually have the honor to go and select the order of which ones to talk about. Now, keep in mind, in this episode, we got 3 big trailers in which they include the Addams Family, Star Wars Episode 9, and The Lion King. Which one would you like to see and discuss first?
Oh, let's do Addams Family first.
Addams Family. All right, might as well start off with the animated one. So I actually got it all set up and ready right over here. So let's go ahead and check out the teaser trailer to the Addams Family.
Thanks for trying, Ichabod.
And that was the Addams Family. So, MarzGurl, what is your take on this one?
You know, I'm getting some vibes of the ABC animated Addams Family. I don't know, surely you've seen the old 90s animated Addams Family.
Yeah, I've seen a few Addams Families, actually. I remember watching that cartoon in particular. I've watched the older one from the 70s, but one, oddly enough, that I remember the most is the one from... Again, it's from the 90s, but it's like a live action series. What I remember the most is that the intro song of it, it's not the usual da-da-da-da. It's actually the tango one. It's like, it's the Addams Family! Welcome to the Addams Family. Right. Yes, that one.
I think this trailer's pretty charming. You know, it's... Addams Family has always been kind of a comical idea, and this is just... kind of taken it and run with it. And again, that's exactly why it makes me think, oh, they went Saturday morning cartoon with it. Got some little hints of like Hotel Transylvania sort of animation and comedy. Not of course being exactly the same by any stretch of the imagination, but you get really similar vibes.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Like it's basically like a Halloween type movie, but it's leaning more into the comedy of it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
what was that release date again?
They said October. I think it's mid-October.
Oh, great! That's perfect timing then.
Exactly. Yeah, and honestly, looking back at this, it really does bring back the old Halloween fun. I think it's been a long time since we've legitimately had like this kind of family friendly Halloween type story. I mean, like some people could debate like with Hotel Transylvania, and it is true that it is unavoidable at this point to find that there might be a bit of influence from Hotel Transylvania and integrated into this as well. But I feel like with this one, like the thing with Hotel Transylvania, it does lean a little bit more into the cartoon and doesn't necessarily go into the Halloween aspect. This one though, I feel like it does capture that spirit of the Addams Family, where it also leans into the macabre. It does play around with like a bit of that horror element where like, yeah, there are a bit of scary elements, but they're really just having a lot of fun with it.
I love that yeah, absolutely. Morticia is just kind of coasting along the ground. That she's just got all the stuff coming out of her dress. There's really creepy imagery, but you can only take it so scary.
Oh crap. Oh, hold on a sec. Oh boy. Hold on, sorry, we just lost the call. Oh boy, sorry about that, folks. I don't know what happened, but okay, what? Call unavailable. What's going on? Sorry. We seem to be experiencing some technical difficulties. I swear, I didn't press anything, but, hold on a sec. What's happening? I can't even, ah, crap. For some reason, I can't even call back for some reason. Oh, boy. Ah, great. Like, well, what even happened? Like, we were on a good roll. Oh, wait a minute. No. Come on. Oh, boy. Oh, dear. Oh, dearie, dearie, dear. Don't worry, we're gonna get things back up. We just don't know what's going on. Hold on, I have no idea what just happened. Yeah, she even just said that. Yeah, not sure what happened. Hold on. Can you call back? And I'm gonna see, like, we'll try to get things back up with this, but, here, just to put in a little bit of a filler in this situation, I'm just going to say right now, to be very honest, guys, this is actually the first time that I saw this trailer. I didn't actually look into it before, but I'll bring this back up when she does come back. By the way, no, this is not Skype. This is Discord. But the funny thing about this is that, yeah, like in here. Oh, crap. Wait, what? Come on. I want to call. There we go. Okay, there we go. We're back.
Super weird, but alright.
Yeah, so sorry about that. I don't know what happened. Anyways, as you were saying before.
Oh, what was I in the middle of saying?
We were talking. You mentioned Morticia.
Oh yeah, Morticia looking so macabre, but you can only take it so seriously when it's pitted up against just really ludicrous things like making clear-cut jabs at the movie It, with the red balloon, and joking that there's usually a scary clown attached to the other end of it. Oh, it's brilliant.
Yeah, and you know, I just thought about this while like we were trying to fix things up, but I think there's one element here that really does signal the element that you could tell there is a bit of a macabre aspect as well, is that overall, the best way to describe what we are seeing so far with the Addams Family, it's more like a satire on modern horror films, where it does acknowledge the element of horror or the stuff that you would find in horror movies. Like, as we mentioned, they did a little reference to It and stuff like that, but in a way, they are making fun of it. It's not necessarily, it's not necessarily just a cartoon, but it's also something that they can actually have a purpose to go and have a little fun with the horror genre. Make something that is a little bit like light horror per se, kind of like the old Laika movies like Paranorman and stuff like that, but takes itself way less seriously.
Yeah, and I think Addams Family has kind of always been that way, you
Hmm.
know, as horror movies were becoming a really big trendy thing throughout really early cinematography movies and television shows, especially movies, though. Of course, you want to take that idea. You've got Addams Family, you've got Munsters. It became really popular to sort of parody horror and make it a lot more easy to digest, a lot more family friendly. And I feel like, you know, it's interesting that Adam's Family has had this lasting power and maybe not as much the Munsters. It's not like anybody forgot the Munsters, but I feel like
Hmm.
we've just taken Adam's Family and ran with it.
That is true because, like, with the Munsters, you can only think about that old TV show, but with the Addams Family, there's been generations of different Addams Family shows and Addams Family movies. So there are times when it would go and reboot and then like have its quiet times and stuff like that. But it is true that it is kind of interesting how there is a bit of a favoritism for Addams Family more so than Munsters. But actually, I
Mhm.
just thought of something that is actually interesting is that throughout the times that we have seen the Addams Family, one thing that I will say with this trailer right over here, or with this movie in general, is that I'm glad that they decided to go back with animation because for the kind of movie or the kind of concept that the Addams Family is, it allows them to be a lot more open with what they can do, whether it be with the gags or with the plot points or with developing the characters. And plus the fact that we are bringing the Addams Family back in a way, back to their original form, especially when you look at the character designs, they do stay a lot more true to the Charles Addams style, except just brought into a third dimension.
Oh, absolutely, yes. And on top of that, it being that it's Adam's Family, I think always when it was on TV, for example, in the past, and I feel like the movies that came out in the early '90s, for example, were a lot more macabre. Mind you, it was still very parody, but just at a glance, it's not super friendly to look at. I think the original television series, the cartoon series, it was easier for a family to just kind of sit down and embrace it. The old TV series, just it's really obvious it's parody, and when you've got a cartoon, it's airing on Saturday mornings, it's also obviously clearly a joke, but making sure that everybody knows that the whole family can come to see this film, to see a film about another really strange family, I think it really locked in that this is for absolutely everybody.
Yeah, and that you the funny thing is that you mentioned how like this is something that seems unappealing at first, and that yeah, like I can understand that like they're not necessarily the best looking kind of characters or even like the Addams Family. It does look something that is a bit a bit the kind that you want to like stay away from because it looks freaky, but I like that's kind of the point of the Addams Family where like at first glance it is like kind of a creepy environment that you want to stay away from, but like once you get to know them it's just like yeah, this is the better family that you want to be with.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and so far from what we have seen, they have definitely captured that element of the sense of like you're gonna be with this strange family where this is gonna be more a bit of a family sitcom, like part cartoon, part family sitcom. So maybe more in the veins of like the old Hanna-Barbera stuff like the Flintstones or the Jetsons, except with a macabre family. And oh my god, I think I kind of realized something about the Addams Family of what made that concept work
Uh-huh.
because like it's very similar to the Flintstones and the Jetsons where like technically it is primetime family where you see like these characters having family values, except there is a bit of a specific theme going on. Flintstones, they have cavemen. Jetsons, it's the future, but Adam's Family, it's about the creepy macabre. So from
So the
there,
question is, what's the next big family trend then? What do we theme our next big, easy to understand and identify with family around?
we're at the point where we are running out of ideas. I mean, the next biggest family sitcom, their theme is yellow. What else
It's
did you expect?
just colors.
Yeah, it's just yellow, and then I don't know. We just grow from there.
start to make them like a Sentai Power Rangers family. That it's kind of like they're superheroes, but they've got this really strong pose theme going on.
Oh god. Like honestly, now I just got captured in my head like the whole Fox Family type programming all coming together, like Simpsons, Family Guy, Bob's Burgers, American Dad, all gonna be coming together to form one giant family sitcom robot.
Oh my god, that's almost terrifying. That's a little overwhelming. I don't know if I can handle that.
Hey, you never know. Maybe someone has already done fan art of it.
Just play the DeviantArt game. Someone surely has done it by now.
Yeah, oh god. I don't want to play the DeviantArt game. It's too scary what you can find in there. Because no matter what you can think of, the answer could be yes.
It's probably yes.
And if not, someone can commission it.
That's very true.
Yeah, but overall, I will say that, while I do look at it, I'm not necessarily saying that, oh my god, this is like my most anticipated movie. It does seem like your typical animated feature in a sense where, yeah, it's gonna lean more into the comedy and they're gonna have some pop culture references and just some gags. So I don't know if I'm expecting like probably the best of the year, but after seeing this, I am kind of optimistic about this, and it does make me feel a little bit nostalgic of the time when I used to watch a lot of the Addams Family as a kid. So you know, it could offer something that's pretty entertaining.
Absolutely, yeah. I've got flashbacks, like I said earlier, to that 90s animated cartoon, Saturday morning cartoon series, which I really enjoyed. I watched really regularly. I would love to see that sort of attitude come back to this. Wonder what we're going to see about the neighbors coming over who just hate having this family next door.
You always gotta have that douchey family that's more ordinary and like stuck up, but they always end up getting screwed over.
Oh, I can't wait to see what they do with them.
Oh yeah, definitely. Although it's going to be definitely hard to top like the neighbors that got their comeuppance in Christmas Vacation. That's probably the most memorable of them all.
That's very true.
Oh boy, but yeah, so far this does seem like a pretty promising movie so far. The trailer does its it at least does its job to present who is the Addams Family to a modern audience. Okay, so all right, I'm glad you agree. So
yes.
let's yeah, I like honestly, I'm at the point where I'm like I'm not used to just quiet gestures. It's like it's a podcast, so sometimes like we gotta fill it with words.
Camera, yes, nice. Yes, agree.
Although, like, keep in mind there are also people who are just gonna be listening, so they're gonna be like, "What's going on?"
I totally do the same thing. Like I live in Los Angeles, and so sometimes it'll take me an hour to get to where I need to go, and I'm just like, let me just listen to somebody on YouTube talk. Hope they're not showing anything important.
Oh
I
yeah.
Just let it play.
Yeah, that can be a bit of an issue sometimes. All right, so with that said, though, I want to go into the chat wall, and I would like to ask you guys, what do you all think about the teaser trailer of the Addams Family? Are you guys interested on it? Are you not interested? Are you more optimistic? Are you more iffy? You seem pessimistic? Let me know what you all think. So I'm just going to fish out a few and see what some people say. All right. Even though I never watched the live-action Addams Family movies, from the look of the animation version, it looks interesting. I might give it a watch, although I'm happy that MGM gets to be involved with an animated feature since though they were involved with Paramount's Sherlock Gnomes as partly financial. Also, is anyone concerned that this movie is once again directed by Greg Tiernan? Is it? Oh boy, you're probably familiar with Greg Tiernan and all that kind of stuff, right?
To a point, yes. I haven't done a whole lot of deep diving, but everything that I have heard has been concerning, to say the least.
Yeah, like, you just need to know, like, this guy is massively responsible for the Sausage Party controversy, so...
Yeah, for sure. So... And we remember how Sausage Party went down, how they treated their staff and everything. Oh, Oh, what a nightmare.
Yeah, but the good news is that just recently they did get a happy ending. They did actually get their the animators who worked overtime. They are going to get paid finally.
Oh, that's good. I had not heard that information. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that.
Yeah, it was not too long ago. I think it was just a couple of weeks ago. The court has finally been settled, and the judge ruled that yes, the animators need to get their compensation for the overtime that they worked on.
Oh, so good.
All right, so anyways, let's move on to the next one. I've never watched anything Addams Family related, but now I think I want to watch the show and movies to get ready for this new film. It looks hilarious. It's I like this stylized animation and the little detail on Wednesday's noose braids. Oh, that is true. I have a couple of months to be introduced to this kooky family, so I can't wait till October to see them on the big screen. Well, you'll definitely have a lot of time and definitely a lot of resources to check out to be familiar with the Addams Family. And also, I just want to add, if you are going to do some research on the Addams Family, then don't just stick yourself to just the shows and the movies. I also highly recommend to check out the original drawings done by Charles Addams. I mean, that's where they have originated, and from there you could be like that's a good place to be really familiar with kind of like the origins and to understand like where this humor came from, where the characters came from, and also be familiar with its art style, because that's what this movie is trying to resonate with, the design of the characters, to stay true with what has been done by Charles Addams.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's see another one. Let's see. Do we have? Okay, yeah, sure. I'll go with this one. Fun fact about me: I worked as a makeup artist on a school production of The Addams Family, so it has a certain place in my heart. So I'm glad to say that it looks entertaining. Sure, the character designs don't translate at all well into CGI, but it does lend itself to some great comedy. I'll definitely be seeing this when it hits. Full disclosure. Yeah, and I guess, well, honestly, I guess you could say it is kind of like a bit of an iffy line right over there, where it is true where there are some designs that are meant more just 2D than 3D. Like, probably the strangest character that I would say that would be translated into this 3D environment would be Wednesday, especially when, like, there's not much of a difference between her head and the balloon that she was holding. But honestly, if there's one design that was a bit hard to watch, would probably be Uncle Fester in the freaking bathtub.
That was so strange.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're right. It's a really strange character design. I think that this is probably going to be a situation where I go into it like, oh, I hate certain aspects of it, but then as it all sort of starts to blend in, I think I'm probably going to forget about it. Maybe 15 minutes into the movie. I hope that's what happens, because I don't totally hate this stylization, but it is really awkward so far and is unfamiliar. But unfamiliar doesn't have to be bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it doesn't necessarily leave a great first impression, but it definitely is up to the movie where, with its execution, it has to make sure that when you do watch it, you can get used to it and be like, okay, I can get into everything that they offer, even like the style. So, like, that's probably the one big holdback that it has so far, is that when you first look at it, it does seem a bit strange, but if it is able to pull it off well, and like that bit of strangeness, like you can look past that, then it will do its job.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here's another one. It's just meh for me. I'm not really into anything that can be considered to be spooky, like The Nightmare Before Christmas or The Book of Life. But thinking about it, it might come up to be maybe interesting. I do remember watching the first movie, and the song is kind of catchy. Okay, well, it's not necessarily for everyone, especially not everyone is gonna get into the macabre theme. But like, it's not necessarily the kind that is macabre where it leans more into the scary.
Absolutely, yeah. So it's going to take a really specific kind of person who maybe they already really like macabre things and they don't mind macabre somebody taking a jab at the genre, or perhaps it's people who really don't like macabre and they love that somebody is taking a jab at macabre humor. It could go either way, really.
Yeah, exactly. It's not necessarily macabre where it takes itself seriously. You know, it's like I guess the best way to put it, it's like it's macabre, but it leans a lot more into the comedy. It's not necessarily something like the Haunted Mansion where it is totally macabre, but there is a little bit of elements of humor in there, but like it does like have a lot of legitimately creepy and scary elements in there. But with the Addams Family, no, it's definitely more comedy. It's not meant to scare.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I think with that, we should be good so far with the Addams Family. Okay, so now we got 2 trailers left, and I'm going to ask you an interesting question. I'm not going to ask you which one do you want next. I'm going to ask you, which one would you prefer to save for last?
Oh, Star Wars, for sure. Star Wars
Okay.
should definitely be saved for last.
Save Star Wars for last, which means that our next one is going to be a pretty fascinating subject to go and talk about. So let's go ahead and get into I guess what people say, the live action remake of The Lion King. Which maybe we'll discuss about that later. I have no idea, but
Yeah, for sure.
All right, let's go check this out. Okay, now
Yeah.
I got some things that I want to talk about, but I'm gonna let you go first on this.
So I'm feeling such a mix of really fondness and then also a mix of, oh, is there any way it's even gonna live up? Personally, my favorite Disney animated film was Aladdin, so I've got some other feelings coming up about the upcoming Aladdin as well. But there's some feelings there. But Lion King was also very, very good. Probably a close second in that that time of Disney's big return where they were doing yearly animated features throughout the 90s. And yeah, this obviously was going to be one of their biggest, like, I'd say Lion King and Beauty and the Beast were probably some of their biggest, most well-known, excuse me, most in-your-face, and people are gonna feel incredibly strongly about the Lion King. So now I definitely get positive emotions welling up within me when I start to hear, James Earl Jones's voice. I start to hear the soundtrack. I was very attached to that soundtrack, and seeing it with some of these scenes, you do start to get this feeling of, oh, this is it. But then there's also the concern, if you maybe what I need to do is go back and rewatch it muted, no audio, because then I understand why some people are thinking this looks a whole lot more like a nature documentary than it does some big emotional narrative. So I've got some internal struggle going on here.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be honest, in my current situation right now, I definitely do have a little bit of a distaste for, like, these Disney live-action remakes, especially being fresh off of Dumbo, because, while not the worst movie I've seen, God, the things that are bad about it is just, it really does a massive disservice to the original classics. So I do have a lot of doubts, and even like with Aladdin so far, like, I'm not entirely sold on that one. Like, even with the trailers that they have released and like some of the controversies that came around it. But okay, first of all, let me just get like just some things out of the way regarding this trailer in particular. Oh my god, it looks amazing. Like, this, like, oh my god, the visuals of this is just stunning. Like, even rather if you are for or against it, you cannot deny what they have crafted here is just absolutely beautiful. It is very lifelike, and I definitely do agree. It definitely does seem like a nature documentary. Like, this could almost be a part of their Disney nature division. Like, it might as well be
This
released. Go on.
It's getting very close to real. There's still this little bit of uncanny valley left in there, just a little bit. But if I am not mistaken, does it look to you like the backgrounds, like the scenery, like that was at least filmed live action, and we're working with CG animals on top of a pre-filmed backdrop?
Yeah, a little bit. Like they might have done something a little bit similar to what they did with Dinosaur, where the entire background was actually filmed in real life, and then they would add the CG animals into it. But even with the animals themselves, they do seem pretty realistic, where they really paid attention to detail. Like there was at one point, a great example is like when you see Scar and like the hyenas are slowly coming in, seeing Simba run away, and then there's at one point like he just flicks his ear. Like,
Yeah, I was about to bring that up too. Yeah, very natural. Like it's not
mhm.
really a second thought because you're not thinking about flicking your ear. You're thinking about, oh, just it naturally happens when something brushes up against it. It's just really casual,
Mhm.
involuntary. That is great attention to detail. I think my concern is that they've locked themselves so into looking realistic. Are we going to get really expressive looking characters? Is that going to happen?
Now, that one, yeah, I was about to bring that up because honestly, there is one argument where I feel like there could be a way that they can make this work, that they can subtly make it be expressive but look like real animals at the same time. And that's why I really do feel like Disney made a great choice by bringing in Jon Favreau and his team in order to work on this movie, because you look at the 2016 remake of The Jungle Book and you look at all those animals, you look at how realistic that they can really be. Like the visuals on there is absolutely fantastic as well. And while they do maintain their animal characteristics, there are a bit of subtlety of emotion, of expression in their faces whenever there's
Mhm.
like a situation going on. So on that aspect, I'm not necessarily too worried, and I'm sure they can actually pull that off to have the animals be a bit expressive but be realistic at the same time. So that I'm not necessarily too concerned. But
Mhm.
also, another thing that you've mentioned is actually the soundtrack. Now, that is also another big element that really does sell you hard with this. And I mean, with this soundtrack, like they took the part from King of, I think it's King of the Pride Rock, like at the end when Simba reclaims the throne and like now he's
Yes.
the ruler of Pride Line. Like that soundtrack right there is like, oh my god, like that part, it was fantastic. Like that thing, it really does capture you, and that's probably the element that is the most nostalgic. Like I know there are a lot of
Easily.
yeah, and I know that there are a lot of scenes that they try to recreate, like some of the memorable moments of The Lion King, but it's really the soundtrack that really does hit you hard on the nostalgia of what this movie is going to be. And I will say, like, the soundtrack is definitely great.
Yeah, and speaking kind of towards the soundtrack, and this is not something that we're seeing in the trailer, so I won't stick on this too terribly long. But I kind of when we first were learning about The Lion King, I was like, I'm not gonna see it unless they put in the song "He Lives in You," which I know appeared in
Oh,
the
the
second movie.
Broadway. Yeah, like
Yeah,
in
it
the
appears in
Broadway
the
show.
Broadway show. It appears in the second film. But as far as I'm aware, the first place it showed up was on an album called Rhythm of the Pride Lands, which was largely a whole bunch of songs that they were thinking of adding to the original film, but ended up not adding into the original film. So it was ready to go when the first film came out. Of course, like I said, they are using it in the Broadway show, and they've used Broadway show music in other Disney live action adaptation films like Beauty and the
Mm-hmm.
Beast, for example. So I'm crossing my fingers because that is easily that song was the most touching thing that never was actually in the animated Lion King. I hope it's in there.
Well,
I hope it's
honestly,
there.
I would say that for me, like my favorite. I don't know if they made it exclusively for the Broadway show or if this actually was a legitimately deleted one. Is Shadowland? Like that was actually a real.
Mm.
I really do like Shadowland. If like I highly doubt they would do that, but if they would bring that into this, like that would actually be amazing.
It would be. I feel like these are things that would differentiate it even further from just being a carbon copy of the original animated feature. I
And
hope that they make those steps.
And you have just brought up the Achilles heel of this movie so far. This is the reason why not everybody is completely sold on this movie just yet. As great as the soundtrack is, as amazing as the visuals look, so far a lot of it, the big thing about this trailer that it fails to really answer to audiences is just, what is it that this movie is going to offer that we did not already have in the animated film? Because a lot of people so far, they are accusing it of being a shot-for-shot remake. And while it is true that so far, yeah, a lot of it does look the same, and I mean, like, in a way you could ask, like, how can you go wrong when you're, like, copying one of the best animated films ever? But on the other hand, it does, like, if it is the case that it is a shot-for-shot remake, it would feel a little bit disappointing, like, if you would come out of it and feel like, well, you just saw what you've already seen before. Like, it feels like they decided to take the lazy route and just take take one of their older movies and just, remake it into something else. Like, if you're gonna go into that direction, then why not just re-release The Lion King in theaters?
Right, exactly. I was a little comforted hearing entirely new lines come out of Scar and Mufasa, and I'm hoping that there's enough of a difference that it will matter, and please let that be the direction it goes. If it is, great, because that's what kind of kept me away from Cinderella. Was that's pretty much the only one I didn't see, I believe. It was just not, or yeah, it was Cinderella, right? Yeah, it looked so identical. I just was not interested. Why do I want to see this again?
Interesting, actually, because I have seen Cinderella, and honestly, like, at least in my opinion, it's honestly one of the better ones. And yeah, there are some legitimate differences between the animated film and this one. In fact, I would say
That's good.
I would say there are a lot more differences than there are similarities to the animated film. Like, whatever you got, like, as legit comparisons, they're just little references. Like, Lucifer had a bit of a cameo, and honestly, I don't know why, when I would watch Cinderella, I feel like I'm crazy, because there are, like, little moments, they don't address it or anything like that, but I feel like, are the mice freaking talking? Like, there are mice that want to help out Cinderella, but, like, there are times, like, you would just hear faintly, it's like, come on, let's go and save her, come on, we gotta do this. That's like, are they talking? Is it just me? It's like, what's going on? It's like, it's not even addressed.
I should totally fill myself in. I really should. I feel like that trailer probably in that case did not do it justice as far as differentiating it is concerned. But of course, if they want butts and seats, they're probably gonna go with what's comfortable and what's familiar when you're talking about cutting a trailer. I feel like that's probably what they're doing with The Lion King as well. So here's hoping that it's just different enough.
Yeah, and that's what I am hoping as well, and hopefully they will eventually bring this up when the movie would actually get released, or maybe, like, with future trailers and stuff like that they do actually show something different. Not just like I understand with the first full trailer, you want to try to sell in on the nostalgia, and you want to bring in some of the highly memorable scenes, like Timon, Pumbaa, and Simba, like, walking on the log, and you see the like, Simba growing up, or like Simba drinking the water, and then you see Nala in that little part that's supposed to be for Can You Feel the Love Tonight. I understand the element of capturing nostalgia, but now we are at the point where you gotta show us something that is a little bit different. But there is one thing that I do want to say, though, and that is probably my one defense if it is the case that it would be a shot-for-shot remake. Now, if it is the case that they are mostly just copying the animated film, I will say it does sound like a better idea than what we are getting so far. Because the issues with many of the live-action remakes like Dumbo or Maleficent or what have you, the biggest problem with those is that it's not necessarily the fact that they do differentiate from their animated counterparts. It's when they do add something in, it does not work. Like with Dumbo, they try to do so many different things at once. They try to add in like different human characters. They want to try out different ideas. It just ends up becoming a massive mess. And even with what we are seeing so far with the live action remake of Aladdin, like even with the trailers and stuff like that, I'm not entirely sold with what they're trying to do, or with some of the new elements that they want to try out, or even with some of the actors. Like I wouldn't say that I'm 100% sold yet with Will Smith, although like the recent trailer, like he does seem a little bit better than like his first introduction, like with the blue Smurf genie. It's like, come on, genies, wishes, lips, none of that ringing a bell. It's like, oh good God. So yeah, I will say that at the very least, if it is a shot-for-shot remake, it is still a bet. Like, honestly, I still feel more optimistic about this one than I am with Aladdin, or from what I've seen with Dumbo.
Yeah, Dumbo, and we know that Dumbo, I hope they're learning from Dumbo, because Dumbo, I believe at this point in time, has been their lowest grossing, like,
I'm sure it's a bomb.
Of a live action. Oh, yeah, I don't know if it's bombing, but I do definitely know this has been their bottom rung live action remake, easily.
Yeah, I'm just saying, MarzGurl, yes, it is a bomb, especially when the film has a $170 million budget. Do you think at this point they're gonna get their money back?
I don't know. So they've got to nail it with Lion King. They do not have a choice.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They don't have any other choice, because I can understand why Disney is making all these live action remakes, because whenever they're doing something else, it's been bombing. I mean, in recent years, can you think of a non-Disney live action remake that they have done that's actually legitimately successful? Because keep in mind,
someone else might have to step in and be like, I've got one, and I'll be like, oh yeah, that.
Like the most that I can think of is like maybe the recent Pirates of the Caribbean film, but then other than that, you got like Tomorrowland, you got A Wrinkle in Time, you got Nutcracker, and while we
they just kind of look at the trailer and go, that's cool, and then they don't really think further about it, I think. I mean, that's the feeling that I get every time I see one of those trailers come up.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that a lot of people do note how Disney is making some of the most successful films in recent years. They've also made some of the biggest bombs in recent years as well. But yeah, overall, honestly, I am pretty mixed with The Lion King, but I am leaning a little bit more into the optimistic side, and I do want to see this do well, because considering the connection with Jon Favreau and that he did a great job with The Jungle Book, I hope that he also does justice to something like The Lion King. Now, I know he has some massive shoes to fill, especially with an animated film as legendary as The Lion King, but in this case right over here, I do want to be a bit optimistic on this one, because I already am more optimistic for this than I am with Aladdin or Dumbo. But honestly, like it could turn out to be crap, but I think the best way to put it is that I am hoping for the best.
And Disney, definitely remember, it looks gorgeous. That's a great start, but visuals don't make a full package. I hope it comes out better once it's finally released in theaters for everybody to see.
Yeah, I'm definitely hoping as well. All right, folks, now I want to go and pass it on to the chat wall, and I would like to ask you guys, what do you think of this trailer of The Lion King? Are you guys enthusiastic about it? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Are you more optimistic? Do you have some issues? Let me know what you think. I know, boy, a lot of people have stuff to say. Okay, let's see. Make no mistake here, the visuals look fantastic. I am hoping that Donald Glover does a good job as Simba, and I am more excited for this than Aladdin, but overall, it's just an HD remastered of the original film minus the emotional weight, and I'm not sold on Scar. Also, may I add that this is a photorealistic animated feature. Do not at me! Oh boy, yeah, you do bring up a point, but honestly, I kind of disagree about the element of Scar. Like, I know that a lot of people are kind of giving crap for this trailer because, like, oh, Scar doesn't sound like Jeremy Irons. Like, I know that, like, Jeremy Irons did a phenomenal job as Scar, but honestly, this Scar right over here, which I think he is played by Chiwetel Ejiofor, this is actually pretty good. I do actually like this Scar. He's not that bad.
Yeah, I feel like it's really, I don't know if it was a really smart move. I mean, it was smart financially on Disney's part to bring back James Earl Jones, but everybody else is different. And I wonder if maybe everybody, including Mufasa, shouldn't have been an entirely different person so that you don't get people expecting this to be an identical movie. It shouldn't be an identical movie.
Well, apparently there's someone who might disagree on that. Honestly, not
Okay.
well, not with you, but it's just what he says.
Sure.
Honestly, not impressed with this remake so far. Not only do I see this as pointless as Gus Van Sant's Psycho, but I think the animal characters look way too realistic, which makes their faces less expressive than the original. That's a big issue for me when I'm supposed to be emotionally connected with the characters, especially with Simba during Mufasa's death. If they're aiming at this level of realism, you might as well just film real-life lions and make it a documentary. Ooh, boy. Now, I'm sure at this point, like, we are going to have people who will have a massive emotional attachment to the original Lion King and might feel just like this. That's honestly something that a lot of people do bring up, is that this could be another of Gus Van Sant's Psycho, where all that guy did is literally make a shot-for-shot remake of the Alfred Hitchcock classic. So yeah, let's see. Do we have another one? Oh, hold on a sec. Looks very promising. I feel like this movie will be better than the other live-action Disney movies. I did see a few other live-action Disney films, and most of them suck. But with The Jungle Book is their best movie, I'm looking forward to see The Lion King very soon. All right.
That's good.
Yeah. It looks awesome because, again, it's like a nature documentary turned into a Disney classic to watch. I'm so into it. Like, everything looks so amazing. It's almost hard to give any distaste for the trailer. It just makes me want to watch it again. Technically, yes. It's just remade the scenes look... It just remade the scene look into looking exactly the same, but this has the director of The Jungle Book, so this might turn out to be amazing. And and then would be singing the song. Okay, and then I'll just read one more. I was getting skeptical at first in terms of seeing some of the shot-for-shot parts, and has a bit of realism in there. But after watching the new trailer, it has me liking it a bit more. The one thing that got me hooked on was the return of Hans Zimmer's score, and I really like it. I always love most of his score for other films he has done, so I might get a chance to watch the remake version, only because of Hans Zimmer returning. As for the remake itself, I hope it manages to be one of the better Disney remakes. Okay, so we definitely have a lot. So overall, I would say that, yeah, this trailer is getting some mixed reactions. Some people think it's just a shot-for-shot remake. Some people are impressed with it, but let's see how it happens. The movie is going to be coming out in July, so let's just wait and see what's going to happen with that film.
For sure. And I think that, of course, you're going to have a smattering of different opinions across the board because people are so emotionally attached to the original movie. I think that's the baseline. When you're already working with something that everybody already loved, it's going to be hard to get one general consensus on doing it again. I've been running into people saying pretty much the exact same thing in the gaming community when it comes to Final Fantasy VII and its upcoming remake. So yeah, you can't please everybody. And I think of course, you're going to have a ton of different opinions, as we just saw here.
Yeah, exactly. It really is going to be something that Disney is playing with massively dangerous territory, but I guess because they made a lot of money with Beauty and the Beast, and you can argue that's also something that many people are very emotionally attached to, they decided maybe the risk would be worth it, but we'll just see. Let's just, honestly, for me, I feel like let's just hope for the best and see how the outcome is going to be. Okay, so, with that said, though, there is one more trailer, and you managed to save the best one for last, or the one that, oh boy, there's a lot to talk to here. Yeah, we've said plenty about The Lion King, but now we got one more big one. So let's go ahead, and we are going to check out what we are no longer going to call Star Wars Episode 9, but rather Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker.
Ooh.
Oh boy! So, before anything though, I would like to go and ask, MarzGurl, I'm sure you have seen the previous recent Star Wars films, like
Yes.
Force Awakens and Last Jedi. Can you quickly express your thoughts on those?
So I think that Force Awakens was very safe, and probably it probably needed to be in order to make people feel comforted, because there had recently been such this building of people realizing, wait a minute, the prequels weren't good, and so they needed to just comfort people and be like, no, this feels like home, we promise you this feels like home. So some critics of that first film are like, it's hitting too many of the same beats as the original trilogy, and I get that, I totally get that. I think it needed to comfort people. So you move on to episode 8, and in episode 8, this is where people are kind of feeling like they didn't really know where they were going. As far as I'm aware, it was kind of announced, yeah, we didn't have an end game plan. Maybe it was a mistake to not just leave J.J. Abrams across all 3 films and kind of flesh out an entire overarching idea. I think there were a lot of great ideas in episode 8, but it does sort of feel like, where were you going with this? Where were you going with Snoke? A lot of it starts to fall apart there, and I understand why a lot of people were like, this is as bad as the prequels. I do not feel like it was as bad as the prequels.
No way.
Like, nothing gets that bad. It doesn't. But it does feel like there is a lack of, where are we taking this? I just don't understand. That having been said, I am hoping that because we're bringing J.J. Abrams back, it looks like we've got a direction. It looks like we've got a good set of ideas here. Is it a good idea to, like, oh, I'll tell you, the second we heard that laugh there at the end of this trailer, and you know that's the sound of the Emperor, I was screaming. And I don't know, I hope it's a good thing. Like, my Star Wars geek is resonating and saying, oh, this is exciting, this is Palpatine's here in some way, shape, or form, but is that actually good? Is that actually good storytelling? I'm actually not sure if it's just my intense excitement over knowing that this is Palpatine, if that's just overriding what my brain knows is going to be good storytelling.
Yeah, I definitely do understand where you're going with it. For me, I really do enjoy the recent Star Wars films, or at least with Episode 7 and Episode 8. I definitely do agree it's not necessarily the best of the Star Wars movies, but they definitely are better than the prequels. Like, yeah, sure, Episode 7, like, they do copy a little too much from the original Star Wars films for the sake of comfort, for the sake of having, like, this welcome back after so long. I do understand that. Episode 8, it does have some issues, especially with its narrative, where it feels like they have, like, several movies happening at once and they don't necessarily connect together in a way. So there is that, but I definitely do feel like it is still a pretty good movie, and honestly, with the recent backlash that's been going on, I do feel like the hate has been a little too over-exaggerated, especially like when you would go on YouTube and you would see like these pretentious YouTubers like really exaggerating their hatred, saying like Star Wars: The Last Jedi is a cinematic failure. It's like, come on, get real, dude. Seriously, it's just a movie, and it is at the point where you have to tell them it's like it's just a movie. And I do understand there are some people who don't like The Last Jedi, but honestly, with the recent backlash that's been going on, it's hard to really take seriously like when there are people who are seriously upset over something like The Last Jedi. But
I was entertained. I'll just say I was very entertained by The Last Jedi. I don't think it's the best Star Wars film, but I was entertained.
Yeah, but in the case here with Rise of Skywalker, I feel like this has to be the one where they have no choice but to actually wrap things up and connect everything together. Like this is supposed to be like the grand finale of all this. Like this is supposed to be the grand finale from episode 1 to what we're going to get with episode 9. So from there, they got to have a linear plan, or at least with the recent trilogy, they got to know that, like, they got to connect the dots with what they tried to do with 7 and with 8, and then see where they can go with episode 9. And yeah, I have to admit, with me, when I saw this trailer, I definitely do feel hyped up. I was like, oh my god! And so far, they don't, like, I will speak, for the trailer itself, they definitely have hit all the right notes. Like, especially with a few moments where you got a little taste of the action, like Rey doing a massive flip, or Kylo Ren, like, in the forest and just beating down people with his stormtroopers. But then also you got some scenes where, like, it's a massive callback to the fans, like, where you got, the comeback of Lando Calrissian back on the Millennium Falcon and just having the time of his life with Chewie.
He's dressed exactly the same, you know, he looks perfect.
Yeah, that, or possibly the big one that is like pure fan service, although accidental, but it has to be included, the hug. You know about the hug. They gotta have it in there, especially with Carrie Fisher.
The whole trailer, so they're playing Leia's theme over the course of the trailer. And that to me was like, was that a cognitive choice on purpose? Because sometimes they've been using these leitmotifs, not necessarily in their appropriate places. Sometimes you'll hear Luke's theme, Leia's theme, Yoda's theme, it just thrown around. Or is it this time they're using Leia's theme like very on purpose? I felt like they had to have been doing it a little bit on purpose.
Yeah, they have to. Like, this is their first impression in order to bring out, like, this is what we're doing with The Last Jedi, with Rise of Skywalker. And from there, they immediately, like, they gotta make sure they gotta hit all the right notes in order to sell it to fans that this is going to be not a movie, but rather, like, a massive event. So yeah, from there, I do feel like at least they do hit all the right notes. But oh man, at this point, like, even though this is just supposed to be a teaser trailer, and yet we've already got
so much to glean from it. You've got what looks to be, is that the husk of a Death Star lying somewhere across a body of water? Is that why there's something going on with Palpatine? Who else could they possibly bring back? And, like, don't forget, we've got we've had Darth Maul show up again, brought back to life in a couple of different properties, such as in the Clone Wars, in Solo. He has been around before. Do they keep him around? Do they bring him back?
Bring out the theories! Bring out the theories!
There's so many theories you could have from this. I'm not totally sold that Kylo Ren is necessarily a totally bad dude. He might not be a totally bad dude. I don't know. I know that it looks like Kylo Ren is coming in in his ship, and we've got
The scene when he
what
takes down like
Rey
that
is.
one guy.
Yeah, who is he taking down? Is that necessarily a good guy that he's fighting, or has he joined up with the Resistance? What are we even
Hmm.
resisting anymore?
I could argue already right there. I think it's like it's still a scene where he is a bad guy because technically, like we also see some stormtroopers just shooting, just shooting with Kylo Ren on his side. So I think that
Mhm.
is a scene where it would show more of his bad side. But I wouldn't be surprised if they would go in that direction, especially when they hint that a lot in The Last Jedi that there is still some good with him.
Mhm.
So there definitely is that, and especially like the opening scene that you mentioned when Rey, like that is Kylo Ren's speeder. So
Yes.
like we don't know necessarily the aftermath of what happened. But also, I want to discuss about a theory, like probably the one that everybody would talk about is especially the laugh at the end, where it might possibly be the comeback of Emperor Palpatine. But the question is it really Palpatine? It could be someone else. You never know.
It's very true. Mind you, his actor did show up on stage at Star Wars Celebration immediately after the trailer played, and then he says in his Palpatine voice, "Play it again," which was just amazing. So the actor is in there somewhere. Now, does that mean that Palpatine is actually physically there and alive? Is he just a Force ghost? Can you imagine how pissed Anakin would be in his Force ghost self if Palpatine lived, but Anakin died, like after you've just thrown him down a shaft? Oh, I would be pissed. I would
Yeah,
be pissed.
no, that's why we need a cameo from Hayden Christensen. Just like he's just on the side going, "The hell is this? I No, but honestly, like you never know. It could possibly like it could even be like the comeback of Snoke's. Like even if he did get cut in half, he could come back.
Mm-hmm.
Like that could also be an option. But also one that a lot of people are also talking about is actually regarding the title itself. What does it mean, The Rise of Skywalker? Do you have any ideas?
Oh, I think what would really piss off the people who have hated the last couple of movies would be if it turns out Rey is in fact a Skywalker and we've been like lied to these last two movies. Mind you, it wouldn't be the first big twist that Star Wars has ever made, right?
Yeah.
Oh, somebody's actually related to somebody else. What a twist. Um so that's been done before. Or is it that there are no more Skywalkers, but to have the mantle of the name of Skywalker, there's a lot of weight carried to that. To continue on an idea of Skywalker.
Yeah,
That
like kind of like a new rank, like when people call each other Jedis, or like a higher rank of a Jedi would be called a Skywalker.
Yeah, I think that's an extremely high possibility. And I do think that it would, like I said, it would just piss a lot of people off if Rey became a Skywalker by blood, which I wouldn't necessarily be too upset with because this has been, all in all, it has been a narrative from episode one to now. It's been a narrative of the Skywalker family. But at the same time, they're trying to tell us that no, this is the end of the narrative of these characters and
The
possibly even this.
Skywalker narrative.
Yeah, so maybe it is not a blood relation. Maybe that's what I'm supposed to be gleaning off of it.
Yeah, it all could be a possibility, but you got to keep in mind this is just a teaser trailer, and that's why for me, I am kind of avoiding a little bit from all these theories because, like, even though a lot of people are immediately jumping to conclusions, like, I'd rather just want to wait and see. Like, so far from what I'm seeing, I do feel like this is probably the best trailer among the three that we have seen so far, and I feel like I am immediately sold on seeing this. It's like, okay, I know what I'm gonna do on Christmas time.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm there. My butt's in the seat. Opening night. It's probably gonna be a Thursday, not a Friday. And I very rarely go out for like IMAX 3D. I typically stay away from 3D. but I might put in the money for this one. I might just do it.
Yeah, maybe. Oh, by the way, just on a side note, just before we started this podcast, I actually saw something on Twitter. It's like a little meme, but I honestly thought it was hilarious. I don't know if this would count as something that's just too soon, but it's actually just a series of pictures. We actually saw it's a little clip from Solo, a Star Wars story, where we see Lando and Han Solo just talking to each other. It's like, yeah, one day I'm going to get the Millennium Falcon back. Yeah, over my dead body. And then we just see Lando, in episode 9 going,
oh no, they're so mean.
I know it sounds too soon, but honestly, it's just funny at the same time, just seeing a happy Lando.
Oh,
hey, Chewie, what happened to Han? Ha! It's mine now!
Back where it always was meant to be.
Yeah. Oh my god. No, I thought I would just share that because I just thought it was too funny. But yeah, overall with this trailer, I mean, there's a lot of questions that it brought up, but I'm definitely down to see what the possible answer could be. So I really am optimistic for this one. And yeah, I would say that for movies of 2019, Rise of Skywalker is definitely one of my more anticipated ones right now.
Oh, I'm super excited. I wish I was there at Star Wars Celebration. Every year I say I'm going to go to one, and then it just always kind of falls through. Oh, I wish I had been there in the audience for that reaction, that huge pop that you hear when you hear the replays back on video. Oh, what an amazing experience those people must be having.
Oh my god, absolutely. It must be like I'm sure they must have gotten like the time of their lives just by watching that. And I've heard,
for sure.
Yeah, and I've heard like during that presentation alone, it's been absolutely phenomenal, and all the actors, like even like Kelly Marie Tran has got like a massive standing ovation, which it just sounds beautiful and just poetic justice overall for the Star Wars franchise.
I'm so glad for her. I'm so glad for Kelly Marie Tran because everything that she went through last year, just undeserved.
No,
totally
she
undeserved.
did not deserve that. And I mean, that's also part of the big reason why I can't really take like these harsh criticisms of The Last Jedi way too seriously, because like a lot of people just took it way too far for something that like you could just say it's just a movie, guys. Calm the fridge down.
Exactly.
But yeah, overall, I'm just excited. So now I would like to go and pass it on to the chat wall, and I want to know from you guys, what do you all think about the Rise of Skywalker? Are you guys excited for it? Do you have your doubts on this? Do you have any of your crazy theories regarding this? Let me all know what you think. Okay. Let's see. Of course, this has me excited. This has the potential of being a proper way to end a 40-year saga. If they could find a way to tie up everything from each of the trilogies and even side projects, part of me wonders if the Laugh could be the reincarnation of Darth Plagueis. Whatever happens, I will be there. I will be there on opening night. Who is Darth Plagueis?
So, if you remember, this was episode 3, where Palpatine is trying to bring Anakin over, like he's really manipulating him.
Oh, okay.
And he tells him, do you remember the story about Plagueis the Wise? And so he's telling this narrative about this way old, pre-existing Sith person who had found a way to cheat death. That could be. It very well could be. We were wondering, I know amongst myself and my friends, is Snoke some kind of a reference to Darth Plagueis? Like, if they actually really bothered to tie all of these threads together and the one remaining thread is Darth Plagueis, it would almost make sense. I'm not gonna lie, it might not be a bad idea.
That is interesting. And I heard that with episode 9 they might have some callbacks to the prequels, so there could be that kind of connection. Let's see. this trailer has certainly made me really excited for the finale of the sequel trilogy. From what it looks like, it does also seem that this movie will do its best to be different compared to the other sequel movies, with each have pretty similar beats to the first two movies of the original trilogy. I just hope that Abrams and the crew will bring Leia's story to a proper conclusion after her passing. Oh, I'm sure that's going to be like one of the top priorities of this. Like, really, this is going to be the one that they have to do the most justice to Carrie Fisher.
For sure, absolutely.
All right, let's see. I'm excited for this. I was introduced to the franchise through Lego Star Wars, and this movie looks like it's going to be fun. I hope this movie will be a great conclusion to the current trilogy. I love Star Wars for years, and I'm hyped for the film. I've enjoyed all the Star Wars films, even the prequels. Oh, wow. You'll definitely gonna have a kick out of this one, then. All right. Go on.
Are you a fan of all the Star Wars movies? That's fantastic. I mean, I would love to just have nothing but joy. I hope nobody tries to take that away from you. Even as the prequels have had so much hate thrown at them, I would never wish for that to diminish anybody's actual legitimate enjoyment of them.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, if you love the pod racing, I mean, what else can I say? Now that's pod racing! Alright. I'm hyped for this movie. It's my third anticipated movie of 2019 behind Endgame and Far From Home. I really hope this doesn't disappoint me and hopefully be great overall. I do wonder if this movie will be underestimated again by the sequel to Jumanji in terms of competition. I don't necessarily think so, because, like, even when The Last Jedi was out, the Jumanji wasn't all that much of a big competition, per se. Like, it was there, but, like, Last Jedi still ended up becoming a massive hit, regardless.
Mm-hmm. I think no matter what, even if people are being really critical of Star Wars, it's still never going to, like, totally trash just how dedicated fans are to the Star Wars franchise. I feel like almost nothing could really compete with it. If they were competing with themselves or they were competing with Avengers, that's the only other thing I feel like could compete with Star Wars.
Yeah, and you got to keep in mind this is the one where Disney promised this is going to be the last Star Wars movie for a long time. So this is going to be like a grand finale of all the recent Star Wars films, and then they're going to go onto a big hiatus. So this is going to be a massive event. Like, yeah, sure, the upcoming Jumanji movie can still be a hit, but it's not going to overshadow how Rise of Skywalker is going to do whatsoever.
Absolutely.
All right, this teaser was great, and I'm excited for the film. I hope this movie is better than The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. I'm going to avoid the future trailers, but Lando is back, baby. Also, it would be bad if they brought back Palpatine, cause it would ruin the end of the original saga. Well, I mean, like, people thought that, oh, Palpatine is dead, but then he comes back. I'm sure, like, that's going to be one thing that I am confident. I'm sure there's going to be at least one thing that people are going to be upset about with this movie in particular, considering all the hype that's going on. I'm sure there's going to be the one thing that people will desperately latch on to that they're just going to feel so angry about.
I mean, if Palpatine came back, like I said, like, if you were Anakin, wouldn't you be pissed? But if Palpatine comes back, I hope somehow Anakin figures out how to come back, and then they're undead, and then they're just going to blows with each other. Like, that's so stupid. That is the stupidest idea ever. Don't actually do that, please. But
oh god, bring back the grand finale battle of Darth Vader and Emperor Palpatine. Like, just have that. Although, let's be honest, you know, the more I think about it, the more I realize, yeah, maybe that's not that bad of an idea, actually. That would be epic. I mean, come on, let's be real, guys. Would you love to see a grand finale of Darth Vader versus Emperor Palpatine? I mean, come on.
see them actually fight, because Palpatine just sort of went out like, just being
Yeah.
thrown off the side into the reactor.
Like some people
Yeah,
could debate, yeah, like some people could debate that there is that battle of like Palpatine and Yoda in the prequels, but like no, let's have a legit battle of like Vader versus Palpatine.
they could do it. You have to figure by the time that Return of the Jedi happens, he's lost a lot of power, a lot of energy. He seems to be in a really weakened state by that point. So yeah, he's not at his prime, but when he was at his prime, he was legit. I know when we saw, oh gosh, why am I blanking on the name of the other Star Wars film that came before Solo? That was not part of the
Rogue One.
Rogue One. I don't know why I blanked on Rogue One. So we see in Rogue One, we see Darth Vader just tearing through people. We get that kind of Anakin Darth Vader against Yoda's fight with Palpatine. That could be insane. That could be absolutely insane. But I'm not saying that there's any reason to believe that Anakin would come back. But I also am not saying
Yeah.
they couldn't do it.
It's just a teaser. Anything could happen at this point.
Anything.
Yeah. And I think with that, we're pretty much all good with the trailers that we have, and we do have a couple of news stories that we need to go and cover. So, MarzGurl, considering that you are from California, I would like to ask, you have been at Universal Studios Hollywood before, right?
A very long time ago, yes. I moved here 2 years ago. I was born out here, but I grew up in Texas, and we did vacation to Universal Studios Hollywood. I also have been to Universal Studios Orlando, so yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, that's definitely more than I did. I've never been to Hollywood yet. Well, I've never been to Universal Studios Hollywood yet. But I have been at Florida once, and even at that, it was a long time ago. But it does sound like there is going to be something brand new that's going to be coming up. And apparently they're going to really bring a lot of animation presence onto Universal with The Secret Life of Pets. Now, at that point, there are going to be some people that might take back their saying of like, good. Oh, no, wait, this one?
I was pretty turned off by the first Secret Life of Pets. Second one doesn't seem so bad.
So far, yeah, like, there is actually, technically, a trailer did get released this week of The Secret Life of Pets 2, but I don't think it really is worth talking about here, considering that it mostly is just a compilation of all the different character trailers that we have already seen. So, going back into the news, though, about Secret Life of Pets, yes, Universal Studios Orlando has revealed that there is going to be a ride based on The Secret Life of Pets, in which they are going to be in which the ride shall be called The Secret Life of Pets Off the Leash. And we got a quote here from the president and COO of Universal Studios Hollywood, Karen Irving, as Karen states, by the way, reading through my source here on Deadline, that we are thrilled to be able to bring another exciting Illumination movie-based ride to our guests. The Secret Life of Pets Off the Leash will capture the essence of the popular film and invite our guests to live vicariously through, guests bring it to life through some of their favorite characters as they embark on a one-of-a-kind experience only available at Universal Studios Hollywood. And what it's all about, apparently the narrative of Off the Leash, it says that the ride will blend live, dimensional, and animated characters with what the park calls hyper-realistic media, as guests zip along the tracks aboard ride vehicles. Their path will go through bustling New York City streets towards the pet adoption event and their ultimate arrival in a home. Along the way will pop up an array of challenges and fellow animals. And apparently, the role that the guests will play is that they are going to be playing as stray puppies, and their goal is to go and find a brand new home. So from there, MarzGurl, how do you feel about the ride so far, just hearing about that little narrative?
I'm concerned about the amount of buzzwords being thrown around in there. I don't feel like this is a totally unique sort of experience that requires all of these buzzwords, because we got other rides like Spider-Man, and they've had the Transformers ride for a while that sound like it's kind of doing the same thing. So you're on rails. You've got 3D built environments, like handcrafted and built environments, and cars and trucks and
I
buildings.
guess you could say that's the dimensional aspect of it.
Yeah, that could be the dimensional aspect of it, while also adding like 3D projections. Sometimes you're wearing 3D glasses. The same thing is true in the Hogwarts ride. You're basically on rails.
True.
They go, all right, now you're flying, and which, mind you, the Hogwarts ride is phenomenal, absolutely amazing. You've got 3D animatronics happening, while at the same time you're going past these panels of you're wearing 3D glasses, and you see the projection of Harry Potter and all his friends, blah blah blah. I feel like what they are telling me through this press release is that this is the same thing, but it's Secret Life of Pets.
Yeah, you do bring up a very good point, is that it could possibly be just something like Harry Potter, but made more exclusively for kids, because like, if there is one thing that I will say though, and there is a recent video that I saw by Spazmaster where he actually made a video talking about the Despicable Me ride, and he does bring up the issue that Universal doesn't really have all that much rides made exclusively for kids, and that's one of the great things about the Despicable Me attraction, is that at least it does offer something for them. So at least with the Secret Life of Pets, they do offer more kiddie rides as well. But that's essentially what it does sound like. It is like basically Harry Potter, but more for kids, where you're going on this wacky adventure, but instead of Harry Potter, you're just meeting Secret Life of Pets characters. And yeah, like they try to really, they try to lean on saying that, oh, we got like this innovative idea. Like what the fridge did they even call this? Like the hyper realistic media. Yeah, we're gonna use this hyper realistic media, but a lot of the stuff,
that's insane to me. Hyper realistic media. I was like, really, Universal?
Yeah,
really?
And this has been done before, and I talked with my friends a bit, and there's already an attraction, well, there was an attraction that actually did this before, and that was the Great Movie Ride at Disney Hollywood Studios. That was actually something that does involve a lot of animatronics, that actually does involve live actors, and also it would have some screens as well. So this has been going on for decades. So I don't know if this is going to be something that will offer something that's absolutely new, but maybe they could pull off something that would be interesting. Like if there is something that I can imagine they'll try to bring out, is that hopefully maybe they'll do something in the veins of the Spider-Man attraction, where they're really going to play with a lot of the like they'll play a lot of different force perspectives, and they did promise that you're going to be traveling all around New York City, so hopefully they will capture that aspect. Now, one thing I will say that, like in my opinion, with the original Secret Life of Pets, I just find it to be okay, not the best,
right?
But I mean, it is fine. Like, but one thing that I will say that I really did like from the Secret Life of Pets is the way that it brings you all around New York City. I feel like this is one of the very few movies out there that really does capture that feeling that you are in New York City. And this is coming from someone who has been in New York City several times. So recapturing that feeling, honestly, I feel like it's great. And that's probably the one thing that I do hope from this attraction, is that it does successfully capture the spirit of getting back into New York City, seeing all the big buildings, but the big difference would be seeing all these different characters pop out, rather it be through screens or even with animatronics.
I feel like there is value to be had in this ride, so don't get me wrong. I just purely feel like the buzzwords are unnecessary, and that this maybe is not a unique idea, but it's all about the matter of execution. I could write a ton of those kinds of rides, quite frankly, because I really have enjoyed the ones that I have gotten the chance to ride. So long as Secret Life of Pets also gives a really engaging experience, a fun experience that kids can also enjoy safely, while also getting to see, wow, look at all of these environments. We are nowhere near New York City, but we can bring New York City to our guests. That would be so much fun. It really would.
Yeah, and also another thing is that I really do hope it does capture a lot of heart as well. Something that you could take from this and feel like it is, like, even though it's a ride for kids, it would be a very sweet experience. Because honestly, with the Despicable Me attraction, that's what I really like about it, is that it's a ride that really does capture a lot of heart, much like with the movies as well, where, like, especially that grand finale where it really is a tender moment where Gru would be bonding with the girls. So hopefully we could have another grand finale like that where it just feels very heartwarming. And like when you do arrive at like the home where it's a happy soft filled occasion. So honestly, that's one thing that I do hope, that even though it is Secret Life of Pets, hopefully it would be an attraction where you walk out feeling good. I was like, oh well, that's a nice pleasant experience, you know. Like at the very least you would leave off with a smile on your face.
For sure.
So overall, I don't know about the attraction. I don't know if it's going to be like the most memorable thing that Universal would bring out, but hopefully it will, you know, it will work out well. Like hopefully hopefully they will do something great with the execution that will erase a lot of the doubt. And while it is coming out next year, again, like at the very least we could say that it is nice that they do have something for the kids, and hopefully this will be something that they don't have to you know, hopefully this won't end up like another freaking Shrek 4D, because that thing, oh god, it stayed at Universal for way too long,
Way past its prime. Oh,
yeah.
absolutely.
Oh god, I think the one in Florida is still there, but they did get rid of the one at Hollywood where they replaced it with the DreamWorks Theater.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so I think I think that's all that we could say about this ride, but yeah, I am hoping for the best, that hopefully it will turn out to be a nice attraction. So, with that said though, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I want to ask, what do you guys think about the Secret Life of Pets ride coming to Universal? Would this be an attraction that you guys would like to get into? Is this a ride that you would rather avoid? Do you think it's a good idea? Do you think it's not? Let me know what you all think. Let's see. Do we have any? Oh boy, we don't. Okay, this time around, it doesn't look like we got a lot of people expressing. Guys, do you have anything to say? Is there anything that you think? Oh boy, like I don't know what's going on.
It's not really, quite frankly, if Secret Life of Pets is not a well-received movie, I'm not super shocked that people are just kind of going, oh, we're adding this ride. I guess that's cool.
Yeah, I guess it's just for the sake of like, well, Illumination is popular. Let's get more Illumination presence in Universal. I'm just surprised in the chat wall though. It's like, yeah, they immediately got a lot to say when it comes to the trailer. With this, it's like, you go first. No. You say something. No. You say something. Oh boy. It looks interesting. I've never seen, but okay, it looks interesting.
Yeah, that's all anybody has to say.
Yeah. You know, I think at this point we might as well go. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, we do have one. We could save this. The ride isn't really appealing to me. I was hoping you'd talk about the trailer, but it's fine by me. Just a quick thought for the new trailer. I thought it wasn't good where it tries way too hard to be funny and it crams in the subplots in there. I don't know about the movie, but it won't be that good. Oh, okay. That's fair. So I guess with that said, though, I think there is one more story that we could talk about. We might as well jump into that, won't we?
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm just gonna say that even though, like, Disney alone already has made some massive headlines just by releasing those trailers of The Lion King and with Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker. But those are just the appetizers. Those are just little bits compared to the big thing that they have introduced. And this is why I feel like this week in particular, I don't know why, but this is the Disney Domination Week. That's what I would like to call it, because oh my god, Disney conquered this week in general when it comes to the big news. And already people are excited about it, so why not? Let's go ahead and have a talk about Disney Plus.
Yes, please.
Disney has pretty much revealed everything, and there was a lot to take in. So much so that I remember, like, on Thursday when it was announced that I had to, it took me a few hours just to go and try to, gather up a lot of the information. In fact, I'm just going to go and say right now that the info that I have with me right over here, it's not all of it, but this is the massive highlights that pretty much summarizes the core of what Disney Plus is going to be. So there's a lot. So I just want to ask, actually, beforehand, okay, MarzGurl, are you ready for what's going to be going on? Are you ready for all the Disney Plus news?
This is a lot of news. This is an insane amount of news that they knew they wanted to wait until they had so much prepared that it's seriously just about overwhelming.
Oh yeah, no, it definitely is overwhelming. Chat wall, I want to ask you guys, are you ready for what's going to be going on? Are you all ready? Oh my god, some people are actually upset because they cannot write tramp on the chat because tramp is actually a bad word. You cannot write tramp on Twitch. Wow. Okay, I'm so sorry for you, dude. But anyways, okay, yes, they are all prepared. So let's go ahead and get ready for this. Let's get ready with the news. So, I practiced this a bit, so here we go. Now, in terms of movies, Disney Plus has stated that they are going to be offering more than 500 movies. There are going to be more than 500 all across, whether it be animation or live action. And speaking of animation, while they're not going to be releasing all of them, they are going to be releasing a giant batch of all the films by Walt Disney Animation Studios, ranging from the classics like Snow White, Pinocchio, Fantasia, and Bambi, all the way up to some of the modern hits like Zootopia, Wreck-It Ralph, Frozen, Moana, and many more. And on top of that, when it comes to Pixar, now for that, it is confirmed that they are going to release everything. All the Pixar films, all the Pixar shorts, and even the Spark shorts. And on top of that, there is going to be some exclusive shorts that will be based on Toy Story 4, where they will be starring Forky and others, well, one other one is going to be starring Bo. Now, in terms of the other movies, they also got a whole bunch of live action movies. And with that one, they got a giant collection that they are going to bring out as well. From the classics like The Parent Trap and Mary Poppins, to some of the cult classics like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and even some of the more modern stuff like Pirates of the Caribbean. And on top of that, they have also revealed that all the movies that are going to be coming out in 2019, ranging from Frozen 2, Captain Marvel, Endgame, Rise of Skywalker, Dumbo, Aladdin, Lion King, all that stuff is also going to be released onto Disney Plus. And on top of that, they are also going to be releasing more than 10 original feature films exclusively for Disney Plus. Some of these will include the live-action remake of Lady and the Tramp. There is one called Noelle, which is going to be a family Christmas comedy starring Anna Kendrick and Bill Hader. And finally, there is going to be a Phineas and Ferb movie. Now, in terms of TV shows, now, of course, there's going to be hundreds of shows that will be available onto Disney Plus, but in total, there is going to be more than 7,500 episodes of those shows. And you got a whole bunch of them. And of course, you're going to get a whole lot of many of the animated classics to many of the modern hits. So it doesn't matter if you're interested in checking out either the classic 1980s DuckTales or the recent remake of it, you can check either one on there. And on top of that, they have mentioned that with the original movies, there's also going to be more than 25 original TV shows in there, which includes High School Musical, the musical, the series, and Monsters at Work. Now, this animated series in particular, there's also some news that actually came out of the fact that not only will it be featuring a brand new cast of characters, but also the original actors are going to be coming back to go and reprise their roles, which includes John Ratzenberger, Jennifer Tilly, Bob Peterson, and even Billy Crystal and John Goodman reprising their roles as Mike Wazowski and James P. Sullivan. But on top of that, you're also going to be getting a lot of unscripted series, a lot of documentary series as well, including one of their big ones is going to be a series all based on Walt Disney Imagineering that's going to highlight many elements done at the theme parks, which is going to be crafted by Leslie Iwerks, who is the granddaughter of Iwerks. We also got some shows that are a collaboration with some shows that are a collaboration with for some reason, I'm kind of gassy for some... anyways.
Oh, no.
No, it should be gone now. But now, apparently they are going to be collaborating with National Geographics. And on top of that, you're also going to get a whole bunch of National Geographic's programming, including the Oscar-winning Free Solo. So they got some content like The World According to Jeff Goldblum, and even one called The Magic of Animal Kingdom, in which they highlight the people who take care of the animals, rather it be through Animal Kingdom or in the big aquarium at Epcot, which is the Living Seas. And then you also got Be Our Chef, which is going to be a cooking competition show in which it will be like Master Chef or Iron Chef, but it's going to be all Disney themed, and the prize is that, oh, your food is going to be highlighted at the Disney parks. And then you also got Cinema Relics, iconic art of the movies, in which they will highlight many of the props and many of the costumes and all that kind of stuff, looking into the behind the scenes of many classic Disney movies, whether it be Pirates of the Caribbean, Mary Poppins, or The Muppet Movie, all three of which have been confirmed for an episode on this show. And then another one that they got is Into the Unknown, Making of Frozen 2. So this is going to be a documentary series that's going to be all about the behind the scenes of the making of Frozen 2. And then finally, another one that they got is called Ink and Paint. Now, this is actually based on a book. Now, and this is going to be a documentary series in which they will be highlighting all the women who actually worked on the ink and paint department to go and create the classic movies like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Pinocchio, Fantasia, and many more. Now, let's go ahead and move on to some of the other elements like Marvel. And Marvel, they got a whole bunch of stuff. Now, I don't think they're going to put in literally all the movies. I don't think they're going to put in the Fox ones just yet, like X-Men and Deadpool and stuff like that. But it is for sure that they're going to be putting in all the Marvel cinematic movies onto Disney+. And on top of that, they even got a whole bunch of brand new series, some of which will be starring many of the characters in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. These will include WandaVision, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Loki, and then there's an animated series called What If, which is a theoretical animated series that looks into, oh, what happens in the Marvel Cinematic Universe if something like this happens, or if this doesn't happen, then this would happen. So it's all a theoretical thing. And then there is a series called Marvel 616, which is more of a documentary series that will look into the history of many elements from Marvel. So that one is more of an informal series that will teach you many of the histories of the different Marvel characters out there. Now, in terms of Star Wars, what they have...
Oh my god!
Yeah, but wait, there's more! Now, the element with Star Wars, yes, all of the Star Wars movies are going to be there. All the Star Wars, all the original trilogy, the prequels, and even the sequel trilogy is all going to be there. On top of the other elements like the spin-offs, they will also be included. On top of many different TV shows, of course, we have heard a lot about the Mandalorian, which is the highly anticipated Star Wars series that Jon Favreau is also involved. Then we also got a series based on Cassian Andor, who is from Rogue One. And then also we got the comeback of Star Wars Clone Wars. Yes, it is going to be returning onto Disney+. And then we got the Fox aspect. Now, for Fox, not everything is going to be coming back, but it has been confirmed that all the family-friendly content from Fox is going to be appearing on Disney+. So these will include TV shows like Malcolm in the Middle, and even movies ranging from The Sound of Music to The Princess Bride, and even some of the animated stuff as well, like Anastasia, and all the movies by Blue Sky Studios. But the biggest thing to highlight from Fox is the fact that Disney Plus will be the exclusive home, or the exclusive streaming service home, to all 30 seasons of The Simpsons. It is the #1 place if you want to go and binge on everything The Simpsons has to offer. Now, finally, that's just the content of what's going to be in Disney Plus. This still remains two massive questions: the price and when it's going to be coming out. Now, the price, they have revealed that it's going to be nearly half as much as Netflix, where Netflix would charge about $12.99 a month. Disney Plus will be charging $6.99 a month. But they also got an annual fee where you can pay instead $69.99 a year, which is a little bit cheaper than the monthly fee. Now, as for the release date, apparently Americans are going to be getting it first. So, MarzGurl, you're lucky on that. Where apparently the release date is going to be on November 12th. And as for everyone else, well, they gotta wait, because eventually they will be released just a bit separately, one by one, throughout 2020 and 2021. Like for me, since I'm from Canada, I'll be getting it in early 2020. So that's the only thing that I know. But then eventually, all around the world, people are gonna get it. And I would say that by 2022, it would be available globally. And that, ladies and gentlemen, and that is only some of it. That's just the tip of the iceberg. I didn't reveal everything that Disney Plus has to offer, but that's just a massive highlight of all the things that have been revealed about Disney Plus. I apologize.
Well, you know they were confident, right? That because they've been talking up this service for a really long time now, and everybody was just kind of complaining like, we gotta pay for another service. We're already paying for Netflix. We're already paying for Hulu. I personally pay for other streaming services like Crunchyroll and Verve, along with some other places that do a lot more live action stuff from Japan specifically. So just the idea of having to pay for another service kind of sucks. But when Disney is this confident, not only that, I suppose it helps that they're a monopoly. And so they own all of these properties that they're able to put out now. It does make it really difficult to not feel like, I almost have to subscribe to Disney Plus. And the $6.99 price point is pretty good, but we've got to be kind of realistic about this. There is no way it's going to stay at $6.99 when you've got Netflix always constantly talking about raising their prices. Same thing with Hulu. And even once Hulu switched from being free to being something you have to pay for, you still get commercials, which is kind of crazy. I don't like paying for something and then also getting commercials. But it's super an aggressive initial price point. I think it would be worth it just to see its launch for sure.
Yeah, and honestly, that's probably the one thing that I really am concerned. While I am extremely intrigued in terms of all the content that it would offer, debatably, they probably have more stuff than what Netflix already has. And on top of that, like the low price point at $7.99, like that sounds great. But the one strategy that I feel like is absolutely concerning, it's the release. Because right now, like on its immediate launch, it's only going to be Americans who are going to get it. Like for something that is like, keep in mind, this is Disney's next biggest project ever. Like among all the things that they have offered, this is their biggest thing since Shanghai Disneyland. Something that Disney is already investing billions of dollars, not just for the old content, but to create new content onto this. And I feel like just delivering it to Americans first, I feel like it might not be enough. Like, it would have been a little bit smarter if they started off by releasing it in other, like, start off in a few big countries and then gradually deliver it onto others as well. Because I've also seen a lot of articles that would go and discuss about the pricing and when is it going to turn a profit for Disney. Because yeah, as much great content there is, I do feel like there might be a few missteps where Disney would actually have no choice, as you stated, that eventually they could have to raise the price so that they can actually see some money out of it.
I feel like the rollout, it is super unfortunate and kind of strange that the rollout to other countries is as big of a gap as it is. I wonder if it just has something to do with having to deal with other countries legally speaking, as far as legal streaming is concerned, the rights to be able to use those different movies
Hmm.
in this way in other countries that maybe Disney isn't totally familiar with, but Disney should absolutely be familiar with it because they've got their foothold in pretty much every single other country in the world. So it should be something that they should be able to move on pretty fast, one would think. It is super weird that the rollout is going to take that long.
Yeah, and that's what I'm worried about with this. Is just the fact if the rollout might be the one thing that could screw them over. And then
Mm,
eventually, like, by the time that it would make it to other places like Canada or Australia or New Zealand or in the UK or something like that, then it would be at a point where it would be a little too late and it might be a little more expensive than the initial $6.99 a month or even with the annual fee. And but one thing that I would like to note, business wise, that does seem pretty interesting is that through this week alone, because of the announcement of Disney Plus, of everything that Disney talked about, apparently the shares of Disney like really raised up while Netflix ended up plummeting. And that's another element that would be pretty interesting, is to know what's going to happen in terms of the outcome with all the other competitors, like with Netflix or Amazon and Hulu, because you
mhm.
know by the time that when Disney Plus is going to come out, a lot of that content is going to be taken away from them. Because right now with Netflix, they still have some of the rights for stuff like the Disney movies or for the Marvel films, and they bring in a lot of views for that. So without
Sure.
that, it's going to be tough to imagine how the company, like, I know this sounds like a bit of an extreme thought, but it's kind of like, it does make you wonder how is something like Netflix is going to survive during the time of Disney Plus, because so far they are making a great first impression with all the different content that they're offering.
Mhm. For sure, and I feel like there's still a usefulness for Netflix. I feel like Disney's not gonna just come in and scoop up all of the other content that Netflix offers. There's a lot of anime that gets published onto Netflix. It's just never gonna happen. We're never going to
Okay.
see Disney come in for those properties. I feel like not unless they start making little steps, just inching closer and closer. You take you just absorb the next biggest thing and then absorb the next biggest thing until finally it's absorbing tiny little entities. I don't know that we're going to move into seeing Netflix go away. Hulu is still a great place to see a lot of television series. I don't feel like that's going to be absorbed up too soon. I think
technically it already did get absorbed by Disney. They own like 60% of it.
It did. That is very true. That is very true. So, interestingly enough, in that case, it would almost be weird for the problem is Hulu isn't solely Disney, so I have to imagine that the only reason why Hulu's not totally just absorbed into Disney Plus is because there's so many other shows that are not Disney that get put onto Hulu. If Disney owned everything, would there be a reason for there not to be a totally separate division of Hulu? Would there not be a reason to have Netflix? They're still going to serve a purpose unless Disney eats everything.
Yeah, good point. Good point. So, just out of curiosity though, with all the stuff that they are offering, would you say you would want to get Disney Plus?
I will definitely try it for 1 to maybe 3 months. If I'm super pleased with it, we'll see what happens. We'll see if I continue. Maybe even move into the annual subscription rather than the monthly subscription. But I'm definitely not quite ready to throw down money on a yearly subscription right out the gate. Mind you, there's some really tempting stuff. I'm super interested in things like The Mandalorian or Loki. Those are things that are kind of right up my alley. It's great that the Clone Wars are coming back also. And then I am, to an extent, really interested in stuff happening in the Disney theme parks. I live not all that far from Disneyland myself, and I think there's this whole huge culture around Disneyland, around theme park activity. It's really fascinating that they've got theme park related programming on this platform. Depending on how fast some of these shows roll out, I know some of them are coming out at launch, but not all of them are coming out at launch. That'll be what really gets me dedicated to keeping it after those first couple of months.
Yeah, you do bring up a good point. That's something that I completely forgot to mention, is that all the stuff that I have mentioned, while some of them will be at launch, others, however, they're only, like, some of them have been listed, like, hold on a sec, like, a good example, on the website, like, D23, some of them have stated that they're not going to be available, like, some of them are available at launch, but then some of them stated that they're only going to be available at year one. So, year one, I'm guessing, means they're just going to be releasing it by 2020. So that's another important thing to note, is the fact that not all of them are going to be available right at launch, but some of them might take a while. And as for me, I would say that when it comes to the movies, well, like, I'm kind of okay. You know, it's like, it's great that they can go offer them, but for me, I'm like a massive DVD and Blu-ray collector. So basically, like, my Disney Plus would be like an area like this, or like this whole area right over here. So I don't necessarily need it per se, but I am honestly highly interested when it comes to many of the unscripted documentary series, like especially the ones on like the Disney Imagineering one. I'm highly interested in. The Making of Frozen 2 sounds pretty good. Ink and Paint. Also the Cinema Relic ones. So those are probably the ones that I am intrigued the most. And one thing that I will say that a lot of people have mentioned is that there's one series that many people have talked about that could be getting into Disney Plus, but for some reason this week they did not announce it, is actually a Muppet series. Because for a while there have been a lot of talks that the Muppets could have their own series onto Disney Plus, but it is kind of surprising that they have yet to actually mention that onto the big presentation for this. So I don't know what's going on with that.
That is kind of fascinating, especially given within the last most recent couple of years they introduced Muppet babies all over again. Muppets are definitely alive and well, so oh, they should absolutely.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, it has often been like an aspect that from time to time, a lot of like I've seen a lot of Muppet fans really unpleased when it comes to the treatment with the Muppets regarding Disney's aspect. Like maybe the most is that we have that little appearance of the Muppets like just in the background in Ralph Breaks the Internet, and especially rumors circulating around about the questionable future of Muppet Vision 3D, which I still hope it's still alive, which I still hope like it's going to be alive for a very long time, because that's honestly my favorite Disney ride. But
Oh, that's an incredible experience.
oh yeah, like the thing is that a lot of people are currently a bit upset when it comes to Disney's current treatment with the Muppets. So hopefully we will see a bit more of that coming soon, and hopefully Disney will do something, or who knows, maybe one day they could actually consider bringing in the Muppet Show onto Disney Plus, like bring that whole series.
Oh, I hope they would. Oh, it'd be a fantastic way for people to catch up on it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's not like they're gonna be releasing season 4 or season 5 on freaking DVD soon. Oh my god, that thing is like a freaking myth at this point.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
yeah, but overall, I gotta say that when it comes to the whole thing with Disney Plus, like even though it is overwhelming, it is a lot of info, but it is really fascinating to see what else they like, all the different things that they could offer. And even for someone like me, even for someone who has like a whole bunch of DVDs and Blu-rays of all the different Disney movies, like I am intrigued to see like the different stuff that they would go and offer. Like maybe I'm not necessarily someone who's gonna immediately jump into something like WandaVision or Loki, but for men, like it really is something that they're offering something for everyone. Like this is legitimately one of those things that it's kind of scary to think about, but Disney is trying to please everyone with Disney Plus, and it's kind of working.
They're getting there, yeah. I don't think there's a whole lot more to prove unless the launch is just catastrophic. Like, let's just hope that they have a clean launch. That the stuff that does come out at launch is good. It's successful. We know The Mandalorian is at launch. High School Musical, the series is at launch. And then if those are good enough, people will want to keep coming back for like Loki will be that year one. Uh, Cassian Andor series is gonna be sometime within year one. Those things that come out at launch have got to be good enough, and the launch has to go smoothly, not be this catastrophic, destructive failure, for people to want to stick with it.
Yeah, and so far Disney has yet to really have like a full-on catastrophe, or at least like a Michael Eisner sized catastrophe. Bob Iger has so far been doing pretty well to keep things stable. He has a few flub ups, but like so far he's keeping the company stable, especially like when buying like the big stuff like Marvel and Lucasfilms and stuff like that. Like so far he's been doing well. Like who, like some people are debating that maybe Disney Plus could be his first big blunder, but who knows? Like I'm honestly, again, I'm hoping for the best for this. Maybe this is something that will catch on. There are some things that I will be interested in, but for me, I gotta wait a little. Like I guess for me, like since I am Canadian, I just gotta check out the reactions first, and then see if it's going to be worth it. So. Well, we'll see how the first first reactions will go.
So far, so good, and here's hoping that launch is a smooth one.
Yes, let's just hope. So, I would like to go into the chat wall right now, and I would like to ask you guys, what do you all think of Disney Plus? I know that we have talked so much about the things that are included, But are you guys interested in getting in? Are you guys, is this something that you want to get? Are you guys a little hesitant? Let me all know what you think. Oh, now the chat wall is talking. Yeah, you have nothing to say. You have nothing to say when it comes to Off the Leash. But now, oh boy, there's a lot to say about this. Okay, anyways, I am excited. I can't wait to binge on DuckTales, Phineas and Ferb, The Simpsons, Monsters at Work. Oh my god, he has a whole list. I live in Canada, so I can't wait for 2020. And that way, I won't have to keep buying Blu-ray discs or DVDs unless I want to. One thing I don't know yet is if the Marvel movies from Sony Pictures will be on there, like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. But overall, I think this will be, this will be great. Okay, honestly, when it comes to the Sony films, like, honestly, I'm only imagining that they're just going to bring in the ones from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They're only going to be bringing in stuff like Homecoming and Far From Home. Did they confirm that they're going to bring in Far From Home onto Disney Plus?
Onto Disney Plus, Far From Home? Nope, I don't think so.
Oh, really?
I do not believe. I mean, I'm just looking at like this huge, massive list of things that were.
Well, at least check.
And I
just check the section of all the movies that are coming out in 2019, because there's a section that
it might just be that I'm looking at a list of things that are confirmed to come out right away and not things that are confirmed to come out later. So I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah, I would say that at the most, if they are, it's just going to be those. Other than that, like the Sam Raimi trilogy, Amazing Spider-Man, Spider-Verse, that's not going to be available for sure. That's just a Sony property and Sony property alone. It's not going to be, like, the only way that I can imagine is if Disney would go and buy the movie rights to Spider-Man. Then they're going to bring that in. Alright, anyways, let's see. Holy crude, this is so much stuff to take. From the old and the new, to the animation and the Marvel Star Wars, everything that Disney, Marvel, Star Wars, and even Fox has is here. You might just say, everything is here, but I'm actually very, very interested in Disney Plus and getting a hands-on on movie shows and other stuff when it hits in November. Hopefully it could be something that could do with Netflix is doing, and it doesn't raise the prices on Plus commercials. Hopefully they won't do commercials.
Oh, I hope not. Oh, that's what I hate about Hulu. I hate that about Hulu.
You know, honestly, the one thing that I currently am thinking of right now is that if we're gonna get one big commercial on Disney Plus, it's all just gonna be copying the commercials for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Like, everyone is here, and then you're just gonna have the theme, Star Wars, Marvel.
Just have people and they're screaming reactions to this.
Yeah. Oh my god. Oh yeah. Oh my god. Like, just like a whole like E3 size audience just freaking out like, oh my god, Homer! Oh boy. I am unbelievably excited for Disney Plus, and $6.99 a month is a steal. I'm already getting hyped for the Phineas and Ferb movie and Frozen 2 documentary, as well as being able to watch a crap load of animated films. I also can't wait to watch Fox movies like The Princess Bride and Anastasia. November 12th feels so near yet so far, but I can't wait to quit cable on that day. Only 212 days left. Oh my god, you still count the days? Honestly, I'm quite fascinated with people just counting the days away, because I saw a movie. Have you heard of Penguin Highway?
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that movie thanks to 11 Arts sending me the movie, and great. Yeah, the main character, actually, he's currently counting the days from, like, when he becomes an adult. Like, he would often be there as, like, just 3,833 days away until I become an adult.
Oh, that's adorable.
Oh, yeah. He also has a weird fascination of boobs on the side. And this is a family movie.
Okay. He's allowed, I guess.
He's a kid. So yeah, I know that's a lot to take in, but I'm excited for it. By the time I get the streaming service, I can start watching some of the newer ones that you just mentioned. So I hope it looks great. Speaking of Disney, you heard Rich Moore left Disney to Sony in terms of freedom and creativity. Yeah, I have heard of that. Let's see. Looks promising, but my biggest question about Disney Plus is which platform will be the one to get on. Will it be the platform to get on launch day? I just hope it is available on the Xbox, and I hope also on the Switch. Otherwise, I cannot wait to binge to watch on the House of Mouse. This is going to be the best day ever. There have been a few things that they've revealed that it will be available on. I heard, I think, like Roku and also the PS4, it will be available. Like, there are a few things, but I think that could also be a big part in terms of how well it's going to go, because I think its availability on where to get it is a bit limited, isn't it?
Yeah, there's not a ton of information about it. I think it would be a huge mistake to not put it on basically all the gaming platforms. I think if it ended up on, like, yes, we mentioned Roku, Amazon Fire Stick or Google Chromecast would be a really good idea. Really, Disney could do any and all of that. The question is whether or not they think it's a financially sound move to do any and all of that. I think their most sound would be just go ahead and put it on the gaming platforms.
Yeah, they got to make sure if they're going to start, they have to start big and make it available to as much platforms as possible so that people can legitimately get it. All right, but I think with that said, it's going to be it for this episode, and I just want to say, MarzGurl, thank you so much for being here. And before
thank you so for the invite too.
Yeah, and before we go, though, I'm sure there are some people who are watching this, and, they might want to know a little bit more about you and might want to watch more of your stuff. So, can you tell us where we can find you on the internet?
Certainly, I've been trying to rebuild and rebrand everything I'm doing on YouTube, so that's just youtube.com/MarzGurl, and MarzGurl spelled MarzGurl, and that ID, that name, you can find me across pretty much every platform, Facebook fan page, Instagram, Twitter. I'm across all social media, so by all means, you can keep up with everything I'm doing. I feel like I'm always doing something new and something exciting. I can't wait to get back to getting into reviews again. I've kind of laxed for a little bit, but I'm back and motivated again, back in a position where I'm feeling motivated again to do it. So I can't wait to see some of you guys there again soon.
Sweet, we're gonna get the comeback of MarzGurl. And I just want to say thank you guys so much for listening, and thank you guys so much for watching. We're gonna be back next week with more crazy animation news. I know that this week was quite overwhelming, but hopefully we will still get some good ones. So, with all that said and done, I just want to say thank you all so much for watching and listening, and until next time, see you later, dudes! Okay, and she's saying goodbye as well.